All right, quick opening thoughts. First of all, I think from my perspective and talking to our staff after the spring game, we accomplished what we wanted, and that was to try to create as much as possible game-like situation. I wanted to see how our guys reacted to a game-like atmosphere. I thought our defense started out with the right mindset. They came out with good energy. I did not think our offense did. We had to get them thinking right at halftime, and you saw the result of that. I thought they came out in the second half with a better mindset. So, those are important things, right? You want to get those accomplished in this kind of scenario. I don't want to do that in the opener. So from that perspective, mission accomplished in trying to create this game more than just a practice. Too many penalties, things we've got to clean up from that perspective. And, I think that, by and large, there was, a lot of plays out there that, can be, for us, evaluated that gives us an opportunity now to know our strengths and weaknesses. So when you step back and look at it, I feel really good about where we are in our evaluation process moving forward, and that's what you want, going through the spring. So with that, I'll open up to questions.
Coach, how important was it to get the run game established the way you guys did? And do you feel like that's going to be part of your team's identity?
Yeah, so when we came, in here, I think we all knew that one of the areas that was a must was that if you're going to have any success, you have to strengthen the offensive line here. And so it's been a point of emphasis, and we've got to run the football. If you're going to win the SEC West, you have to be able to, you got to be able to run the football. And today's not, we're not here to bang the drum and say we've arrived, but there had to be some semblance of we've made progress in that end, and I think we can say that we did, and we emphasized it, and now we can go and look at, all right, what are the things that we do well, and what do we need to do better, and so I think that that's the exam, right? What did we learn from the spring? What did we do well, and what can we do better?
Yeah, Brian, right here. How did you change the offensive mindset at halftime? Because I think it was 5 sacks the first 5 series and just looked kind of sluggish. How did you change that mindset? Because you came out on fire in the second half.
I just don't think our guys were thinking the right way. I mean, they need to be educated. They need to be talked to. They need to think the right way. And quite frankly, I think, maybe it was a little bit of not probably doing that the right way before we started the game and getting them to think the right way. So a little bit on the coaches and maybe a little bit on the players and not getting them to think the right way coming into this, situation.
Hey, Coach, do you think the struggles of getting stops in the second half was due to your guys getting fatigued, possibly?
Oh, no doubt. All of that has something to do with it. And look, let's be clear. How many coverages did you see today? One. We had one coverage. We probably played 2 different fronts. So, we lined up very basic today. And so by the second half, the fits were easier. The line was very comfortable. There was no movement up front. You kind of can get my drift here. So by that time, we better have some movement up front.
Coach, right here in the middle, Shea Dixon with 24/7. How do you balance Nussmeier being a young guy and, you want him to maybe correct things in his game as he grows with being a talented quarterback and going out there and, throwing well?
Don't overcoach it. I mean, you can get, it can be, paralysis by analysis, right? you start to overcoach that, and then he starts to pull back a little bit, and then you lose a really good quarterback too. So you've got to be careful there. I think you try to coach him on the things that matter the most, and that is taking great care of the football. I mean, he's going to make some mistakes. I make mistakes. I know you don't. I mean, but everybody else does. And I don't mean that in any other way. I'm just making the point that he's going to make mistakes. And so it's just one of those things that I think you got to be careful with a guy like that that's really talented, that you don't try to overcoach that. And make sure he takes care of the football. And if he does that, if he makes a mistake here or there with the talent that he has, just go play football.
Brian, taking obviously we look at today's snapshot, but you're looking at the whole spring from the start where you started to today. How good or how do you feel about your ability to field a competitive team in the fall? How close are you? How far do you have to go?
Well, it's going to be a competitive football team. We have some holes, and those holes need to be addressed and need to continue to work on. I'll get a deeper dive on this over the next couple of days. I always try to get through the spring and know my weaknesses because I don't want any surprises as I go into camp. Look, if I started to look at them right now, those backs run really hard. You better tackle them. You better get our backs on the ground. And you saw that today. They can catch the ball, come out of the backfield. We'll continue to work on some things that are, in my eye, some weaknesses. But they bring some traits across the board that I think are highly competitive in this league. The receivers, they can go get the football. We need to be a little bit mentally tougher, play in and play out. But they can compete at a high level. I like Kobe Taylor today. I mean, I thought he showed himself more than just, a pedestrian player. He's long. He showed some yardage after the catch. He needs to live, if possible, in the weight room with us. And if he does that, with Mashburn, maybe we got something there. So that's an upgrade for us. The O-line gets better. Campbell was really good today. I thought Turner was consistent. We had the one, situation with an illegal snap, but by and large, I thought the offensive line got better as the game went on. And the one thing that y'all want to know about is, we didn't clear up anything with the quarterback today. We probably made it even more difficult. I mean, Brennan was good today, right? I mean, he does really good things with the football. He knows the offense. He's smart. He takes care of it. Nussmeier, we talked about Nussmeier's athletic ability, his arm strength. Daniels is really, really fast, and Walker's got one of the strongest arms on the team. So I don't know if we cleared up anything there, and we know defensively that front is really, really good. The safeties tackled so much better today. So that's kind of a synopsis. Are we done? That was pretty good, wasn't it? I don't know how many wins that equals, but that makes us more competitive.
Coach, in terms of the passing game, Jack Fish, how big is he going to be involved, or how do you feel like he's going to be involved more in the passing game?
He's deceptive, right? I mean, you guys were here. I mean, I'm seeing him for the first time, this spring. He's, deceptive in a sense that he uses his body well. He positions himself well. He plays better than sometimes he practices. He's a gamer, I mean, I guess you guys, you're used to seeing him play. Last year, when it's time to play and the lights go on, you can count on he's going to make some plays, and we saw that today.
Coach Kelly right here in the middle, G Sports Media. What's the point of emphasis going into the offseason as far as the return game, having that ability to be able to flip the field position, when you get into the first game of the season in the Superdome?
Well, I mean, we really hadn't spent any time on it, right? So it's been all punt and protection, and we've got competition coming in at the punting position to flip field position there. Jay Bramlett comes in and he'll compete at that position. We've got skilled players that can return. You saw some of those runners today; they run hard. So if we do a good job and really commit ourselves to that end, we should be, a really good special teams. Brian Polian does a heck of a job. That's why he's here. I think we can. That can be a strength of ours moving forward.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
Garland Gillen, Fox 8 New Orleans. We've seen it all spring. We got to see it in the spring game with John Emery Jr. Is the sky the limit for this kid in the fall? Because when he came out of Destrehan, he was highly recruited, and he's kind of had some down spurts, obviously, with academic problems last year. But it seems like everything's going in his direction going into this fall.
I was really impressed with him today. He was probably, I don't want to give you an exact percentage because I'm not sure, but he was less than healthy. I mean, most would have said, why would you play him today? But he wanted to go. I mean, because, he was like, look, I'm going to get banged up during the season. I want to know what it's like not to play 100% because I'm not going to be 100%. And so just kind of that kind of mindset, says a little bit about him. And he wanted to get out there, and I was proud of him. He fought through not being 100%, and we saw what kind of back he is, even banged up.
All right, Coach has time for two more. We got Ed and then Jacques.
Coach, in all the time that you've been doing this, have you ever played two guys before, and if it was like super close, would you consider doing that?
Nightmares. I've played two. Yes. I think LSU when I was at Notre Dame in the Music City Bowl, I played two. It's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, it has to be a situation where you have to do it. I'd much rather just play one quarterback and try to fit the offense to their traits, over somebody else. The two quarterback situation is so difficult to manage, honestly.
Jacques, you got the last one.
Hey, Coach, here in the back. Can you talk about Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, all these guys coming here this weekend, getting them involved in the weekend, and just how have you gotten to know them?
Yeah, I'm a little salty about the whole thing. Joe Burrow, when I was in Cincinnati, I had a petite filet named after me at Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse. He's got like this massive steak with crab etouffee on it. Like, really? I mean, oh, that's right. He won a national championship here, didn't he? No, we were kind of kidding back and forth. There's a steakhouse, Jeff Ruby's in Cincinnati, and I was envious of the steak that's named after him. We had a great time and got a chance to talk a little bit about, just his time here, right? And how much it meant to him, and being a guy from the Midwest, and certainly having spent time in the Midwest, how much that transition for me and him, there's some similar paths, and we're kind of sharing the same experience, how much we both have enjoyed it. So it was really good to have that conversation with him. And then Jamar is just such a nice young man. You can see how he was embraced here, both of them. So it was nice to connect this week. I did a couple of L Club events, and to see our alums back in town, hundreds of alums. It's nice to see that bridge that has our alumni coming back to town and being part of LSU and LSU football. Thank you. Appreciate it.